Hi, this is Nick with Tilta. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to set up the Hydra Alien Pro. To start, we have the 50mm speed rail clamp, as well as 8 220-gram counterweights, and space for an optional wireless receiver module. Here's where you can store the Nano 2 control handle, which is not included, as well as a Movi adapter, which can be purchased separately. Next is the power supply base plate for DJI Ronin and the Ronin 2 mounting plate. This is the Alien Pro shock absorbing arm, which comes with a power cable and installation kit. You will also find replaceable shock absorbers, which can be changed according to the weight of the payload. This is the shock absorbing head of the Alien Pro. Mini V-mount battery plates can be mounted on both sides of the head. Loosen the locking lever on the back of the battery plate and press down on the safety pin to remove it. These plates feature 2 1/4-20 threads with locating points on each side, as well as 1 3/8-16 thread with locating points on each side. Next, we'll take a look at the other box, which includes dovetail plates and suction cups. The dovetail extension bracket. The first 2 suction cups feature 19mm rod mount, while the other 3 connect directly to the dovetail plates. We also provide a ratchet strap, which we recommend using for any setup. Also included are 4 cross connector clamps and 4 110-pound suction cups. You will also find an included toolkit. Here is the trailer hitch mount, as well as a wrench. Next, you will find the 50mm speed rail set with 5 long rails and 2 short rails. Now we'll take a look at the front mounting setup for the Hydra Alien Pro. Make sure the surface of the vehicle is clean before installation to ensure the suction cups will connect securely. Next, remove the dovetail plates from the case. Then remove any connected adapters. Loosen all the knobs and adjust the dovetail plates to form a triangle. You can then release the knob to unlock the assembly and slide out one of the dovetail plates. You can then slide in the 19mm rod mount into the bracket and lock it into place. You can then reconnect the dovetail plate to the bracket and be sure to lock it in place when the assembly is complete. If needed, you can make any additional adjustments, ensuring all knobs are locked before completing the assembly. Next, slide the previously removed mounting plate onto the dovetail plate and lock it into place. You can then remove the 4th dovetail support plate. Slide 2 4.5-inch suction cups onto this dovetail plate and lock them into place. Then remove the additional suction cup and connect it to the dovetail assembly before locking it into place. Locate the dovetail cross connector and install it on the dovetail support bracket. Slide the support plate onto the dovetail assembly to complete the build. Place the assembled dovetail structure on the vehicle. Press the red on-off button to activate the suction cup. Press down to ensure the suction cup is attached to the surface. After fine-tuning the position of the suction cup, lock the cross connector. Press the red on-off button to activate the other suction cups. Manually press down on top of the support plate to ensure the suction cups make good contact. When the suction cups are completely secured, the motors will stop. Next, remove the suction cups with the 19mm rod mounts, as well as the two 19mm rods. Install the 19mm rods into the 19mm rod mount and lock the knob. Do the same for the suction cups and make any adjustments before locking the knob. Press the red on-off button and wait for the suction cup to turn on. Manually press the top of the suction cup down to ensure the suction cup makes strong contact. Optional manual suction cups are also available depending on the kit configuration you choose. The dovetail bracket assembly should form a triangular support shape, and the outermost bracket should be perpendicular to the ground. Double check that all knobs are locked. The mounting position of this bracket should be as close as possible to the shock-absorbing arm as to better distribute the weight of the arm. This mounting plate can be used for small behind-the-scenes cameras or for hard mounting, depending on your needs. This accessory can be installed on any dovetail plate as long as it is locked securely. Remove the extension bracket, noting the front and back sides. Loosen the locking knob, slide the dovetail extension into the assembled dovetail structure, and lock the knob. Remove the shock-absorbing arm and slide it into the dovetail extension, then lock the knob. Remove the shock-absorbing head as well as the V-mount battery plates. You'll find multiple mounting points for mounting additional accessories. Threads on both sides of the shock-absorbing head can be used with counterweights to increase the payload for lighter setups. You can also vary this assembly depending on your needs. Here is where you can find the replaceable shock absorbers on the head. Use the black shock absorbers for heavy loads. If the load is light, use the gray shock absorbers. Multiple threads in the bottom of the head allow for the assembly of different connectors and mounts. The optional Movi mount, for example, is mounted via M6 screws, while the included Ronin 2 connector is mounted with M5 screws. Slide the shock-absorbing head onto the receiver of the shock-absorbing arm and tighten the lever to complete the assembly. The new mini V-mount battery plates are equipped with USB-C, 2-pin, and P-tap power outputs. Loosen the battery straps, slide the V-mount battery onto the battery plate, and pull the strap tight. Do the same on the other side. Slide the assembled gimbal with the quick release plate onto the shock-absorbing head and lock the lever. Be aware of the payload and avoid using equipment that exceeds the weight limit. It is recommended to choose a gimbal with performance that will suit your shooting conditions as well as camera package. Next, we'll take a look at how to power the system. Take out the D-tap to 4 plus 2-pin power cable and connect it to the DC input of the main arm. Connect the other end to the D-tap port on either battery plate. The arm will power on immediately after being connected to a power source. Remove the 2-pin to 2-pin power cable. You can use this cable to power the DJI Ronin power supply baseplate via the 2-pin port on the arm. Connect the DC output connector with the main arm. You now have an indirect power supply for Ronin S series gimbals. Power on the Ronin S series gimbal by holding the power button. It is also possible to connect the 2-pin power cable to the battery plate for power. Power on the Ronin by holding the power button. The gimbal can be turned on when the arm has power. Next, we'll take a look at how to balance the arm once the payload is mounted. Here's an example of what you do not want to see, the arm in a raised position. You'll need to adjust the shock-absorbing arm until it is level with the ground. Apply some pressure to the arm and adjust the tension knob. If the arm is above the visual horizontal line, the tension needs to be lowered. If the arm is below the visual horizontal line, the tension needs to be increased. The loaded arm should be adjusted before each use, especially if the payload changes. Here's an example of not enough tension. You can adjust this by increasing the tension with this knob. Manual balancing adjustments are based on the payload, road conditions, vehicle suspension, and speeds. We recommend fine-tuning the arm for various situations. Now the tension is too strong to press down. You can adjust it by decreasing the tension with this knob. Again, you will need to fine-tune based on different situations. Next, we'll take a look at the damping of the shock-absorbing head. Open the screen protector cover. Here you will find 3 load modes, which are light, medium, and heavy. It's now in heavy mode, which is not appropriate for this size of gimbal. Adjust the load mode to light mode. You can manually check the strength of the damping by lifting and dropping the payload to see if it easily returns to a normal position. If the head resets too slowly or fails to return to its resting position, the damping needs to be reduced. The damping strength of the head is also related to the speed of the car and road conditions. If the car is traveling fast on uneven terrain, the dampening needs to be increased. Low speeds on smooth roads require less damping. Now let's take a look at how to pair and connect the Nano 2 control handle to control the shock-absorbing head, and then triple press the power button to enter the menu. Switch the control joystick function to DF. Triple tap the power button to enter the menu. Select Mode Setting, select Damp mode. Then press the function key to confirm. Long press the record key and the function key. Go to the screen on the shock absorbing arm, swipe down on the top of the screen to the wireless control interface. Click on Link. Use the function key to pair signal 1 when it appears. The arm will return to the main interface after displaying a successful connection. Press the handle recording button to switch the ID number to match the arm. The damping strength can be controlled by the handle after pairing is successful. Next, we'll take a look at how to assemble the arm with speed rail. Find the tow hook mounting location and connect to tow hook. Take out the hex wrench and tighten the tow hook until it is secure and level with the ground. You can then prepare the tow hook adapter by loosening the top 2 screws. Mount the adapter onto the tow hook and tighten the screws. You can then use a wrench to tighten all 3 screws on the tow hook adapter in order to reinforce it. Remove one of the cross connector clamps and install it on the tow hook adapter. This can be hand tight now, but will need to be further secured later. Take 2 long pieces of speed rail and connect them together. You can then mount this rail onto the tow hook adapter via the clamp. You can then return to the speed rail, disconnect 2 short pieces, and connect them to 2 long pieces, as so. You'll want to create 2 pieces of speed rail of equal length. Depending on the vehicle being used, you may need an alternative speed rail structure. Remove another cross connector clamp and mount it to the highest part of the mounted speed rail. Make sure to lock this securely. Grab the speed rail you just assembled and mount them to the cross clamp. Remove the suction cups from the box, find a suitable position to place them on the vehicle, and connect them to the long speed rails. Adjust the suction cups clamp to the appropriate position, connect the long speed rail with the suction cup clamp, and lock it. Keep in mind that the position may need to be adjusted later in the assembly. Remove the other suction cups and loosen the clamps. Use more cross connector clamps and adjust them to fit the long speed rail. Lock the speed rail to the cross connector clamps. Be sure the end of the speed rail is not too close to the hood of the vehicle to prevent damages. Lock the suction cup clamps and secure the suction cups. Once you are satisfied with the final position, press the suction cup pumps continuously to extract air. The suction cups are secured once the white ring is no longer visible. Remove one of the cross connector clamps and install it on the diagonal speed rail. Take a long speed rail piece and attach it to the cross connector clamp. The purpose of connecting this diagonal rail is to increase the overall stability of the structure. Press the suction pump continuously to extract air until the white line is no longer visible. Use the wrench to tighten the clamps. Remove the arm's speed rail mount and loosen the knobs to install it on the speed rail. Fasten and lock the round knobs. Remove the shock-absorbing arm and slide it onto the receiver of the mount. Lock the lever. Remove the 50mm speed rail to NATO adapter and install it on the rail. This will increase stability and prevent accidental rotation when at high speeds. Attach the 10-inch articulating arm to the bracket. Secure the arm by tightening the knob. In addition to the 10-inch arm, you can also use the optional 11-inch heavy-duty articulating arm. The shock-absorbing head can then slide into the receiver and lock into place. Mount the gimbal to the shock-absorbing head. Note that the connector at the bottom of the head has been placed with the Ronin 2 mount. Next, install the TB50 battery plate for the Ronin 2. Remove the D-tapped 4+2-pin power cable. Connect the cable to the D-tap port on the TB50 battery plate. Connect the cable to the DC-in input connector to complete the power supply. Locate the 1/4-20 eye bolt, remove the safety rope, and fasten it through the ring. The other end of the safety rope can be attached to the arm. Keep in mind, safety is first. Remove the optional rear battery plate mount and slide the 2 V-mount battery plates into it. Use screws to secure the mount to the extension bracket. Keep in mind this can be installed in other locations as needed. This can now be used to power additional accessories. For example, you can power a wireless video transmitter and connect it with SDI. Make sure to keep all cables secure. Payloads between 22 and 28 pounds require the optional speed rail kit. Please note we always recommend using straps to secure both the camera and gimbal, as well as additional ratchet straps to secure the arm. Installation is now complete. Next, we'll take a look at how to replace the shock absorbers on the shock absorbing head. Remove each of the 4 hex screws using an 8mm hex wrench. Select the shock absorbers depending on the weight of the payload. Use the black shock absorbers for heavy loads, and use the gray shock absorbers for light loads. Once the screws are all loose, separate the top and bottom of the structure. Remove the screws connecting the shock absorbers and set them aside. The 4 shock absorbers under the shock discs can also be put aside. You can then remove the shock absorber you are not using and replace it with the alternative shock absorber. Replace the shock absorbers on each side of the 4 corners. Install the screws and the shock absorbers back into the dampening disc. Remove the additional shock absorbers and install them underneath the damping disc. After installation is complete, check to make sure that the structure is solid. Remove the other half of the shock absorber disc screws and align them back into place. Use an Allen key to tighten all 4 screws. Here's how the head should look when all the shock absorbers are replaced. That was a look at how to set up the Hydra Alien Pro. Thanks for watching.